What's going on, everyone? So, Isabel May is set to play Tatum in the upcoming Scream 7, which is Sidney's daughter. And, Tatum's the nice callback to, Tatum Riley, Dewey Riley's sister, and then Sidney's best friend. I've seen mixed feelings about that. I've seen people that love the idea. I've seen people that don't really like the idea because it's like, oh, you're kind of taking away from that Tatum. I don't think so. I mean, that's a common thing that people do in real life. Right? Name their kids after a loved one or, a friend that passed or something like that. So I do think that this is something that makes sense, right? I mean, I don't care either way. I mean, your name could be whatever, they want it to be. Like, I don't really care so much about the name as I do the actual character and the actress's portrayal and the story and the writing material and all those things. But Isabel May is very important for this film. Obviously, she's Sidney's daughter, which is a huge bombshell in and of itself, right? When they made that announcement in Scream 5, we were all like, what? Wait, what? Like, time out. Hang on. Whoop, right? Like, rewind that for a second. Hang on. Like, Sidney has a husband and children? Right? Like, where was this in Scream 4, right? Like, where was all this, right? Like, and lo and behold, right? She does. And you're getting the castings and all that stuff, and that's great. I'm all for it. I've seen a lot of people say, well, she didn't have children in Scream 4. How do you know? Right? How do you know? Because she was on a book tour. Right? She wasn't on vacation with her family or something like that. And it was like, oh, why didn't she bring her family on vacation? No. Like, she was on a book tour with, like, her publicist and stuff. Right? Like, she's probably not lugging around her family all over the place, right? Her husband probably works and kids got school and stuff like that and daycare, even young, right? And if Isabel May is playing, like a 17-year-old, she would have been like a baby. So you're really lugging a baby around on a book tour? Probably not, right? Like, so I don't think it's something that is like, oh, that's crazy that they made that a thing. It's like, okay, fine, right? Like, it would have been nice if that was something that, like, was known and tied into, but I don't think it's a big, like, loop. Like, oh, wow, I can't believe they didn't do that. But the other big thing about Isabel May and why I think there's a lot of pressure on her, a lot of significance on her outside of just being Sidney's daughter, but she's going to be the face going forward, right? Like, she's going to be the girl going forward. Unless they do a Jill situation again, which I really hope not, right? Like, I really don't want to see Sidney's daughter be the killer, right? I just feel like it's just silly, right? But they've already tried to get a new face, right? That's what they did with Melissa Barrera, right? She was the girl. She was the new Sidney. She was the face of the franchise. She was the one that was, supposed to lead the charge with her and the core four. But she's the center point. She's the focus, right? Sam is the main target. Sam was the one that, Richie and Amber were trying to use to recreate Sidney, and then, the good old fashioned revenge. So we already seen and know that, hey, like, this franchise wants a new face, right? Because if they didn't, they would have just went with Sidney to begin with, right? They would have just went with Neve Campbell to begin with, especially when they signed her on for Scream 5, right? And then she wasn't in Scream 6, and then they still, like, had that, right? And now Melissa Barrera, she's departed, and it's like, okay, well, how many more films can you do with Sidney Prescott? And I've even talked about this. At some point, you're going to need to move off of her if you want to keep making these movies, because at some point, you're either going to, run out of idea. I mean, you can already argue, like, some of the ideas have not been great, right? 2, it gets repetitive and old. It's like, how many people want Sidney's dead? Like, how many brothers, cousins, nephews, uncles are coming out of the woodwork? 3, she just doesn't want to do it anymore. 4, she just ages out, right? Like, there's a lot. And I don't imagine that there's already talks about there being a Scream 8, right? And look, I said going into Scream 5 that there was going to be probably 10 of these. Because Spyglass and them paid like $500 million for this franchise. It's not just this, it was a whole catalog, but Scream was the prize, right? That was the main thing. And so they haven't even, more likely than not, probably haven't even made their money back. Probably way in the hole. So we're going to get, like, so the rumors of them doing a Scream 8, I am very confident. I mean, I said that they were going to do a Scream 6, Scream 7, and guess what? Here we are. Right? So again, I put it on record. I'm confident we're going to get a Scream 8, and probably 9 and probably 10. There were talks and rumors about them as soon as they brought Sidney back that, like, oh, they're going to do a new trilogy around her. And I believe that they will. And I believe what'll likely happen is throughout this trilogy, you'll start to see Sidney fade more and more to the background, and you'll have Isabelle May kind of be more of the face, right? So you'll have, you know, the 5 films or whatever that Sidney is like the main focus and main face on. And, you know, the story builds up. I think this will be the foundation for the transition, if that makes sense, right? Like, I think you'll have Sidney. She'll be the main focus. This will be the main story. They'll integrate and introduce her daughter, and the daughter will be, you know, a part of it, and it'll be not part of Ghostface, but part of the film, and just like, you know, and have some real significance throughout this movie. You know, kind of like look at like the most recent Halloween, right? Where, you know, it started out as very, you know, Laurie Strode focused and you know, was all about her, and then, you know, everyone else was kind of getting introduced and tacked on, and then you saw the transition into Halloween Ends. Hopefully it doesn't scream this Scream trilogy, if they make that trilogy, hopefully it doesn't end like Halloween Ends. But point is that's what I think will happen, is this will be the Sidney focused film. The next film, Scream 8, will be more focused on Tatum as a character and Isabel May's portrayal of Tatum, which means they got to get it right. Because, look, the general consensus, and I stuck up for it a lot, but it wasn't great. Like, general consensus after Scream 5 was that Sam isn't fit. Like, people wanted Jenna Ortega, right? Part of that was just, you know, she was more known to people, and 2, it's just Sam's character was not great. I understood it. That's why I defended it, right? Like, she was on all the, like, they told you in the film why she was the way she was, right? She was on all these, like, drugs and stuff, and she had hallucinations and things like that. So she was very, like, you know, pale bagel, you know, or plain bagel. I don't know why I said pale bagel, very plain bagel. But, you know, people hated it, right? Like, again, I'm old enough to remember all the comments, and, you know, I was making videos then, so I remember all the comments and everything. And then, you know, fast forward to Scream 6, people kind of came around, but they gave better writing, better material, right? They kind of let Melissa Barrera be Melissa Barrera to an extent, rather than having to, like, play, you know, this, like, very plain character. So hopefully they let Isabelle May kind of just, like, hey, do your thing, right? Go out there, you know, be the character, right? Hopefully there's some material, good storytelling, right? Good character development of her character, because you got to get this right. If she's going to be the new face, which, again, I don't, like, who else are they going to do it, right? Like, again, maybe they go with these next 3 films or whatever as Sidney continuing to be the face. It's very possible, but at some point, you're probably going to need a new direction, and they're probably going to make it Isabelle May. Why establish her children? Like, if you're not going to have Isabelle May be the new face of the franchise, why not just have her children be young, they're on vacation or something like that, and Sidney's got to deal with Ghostface on her own or something, right? Like, why have a daughter the same age as Sidney when she first got attacked, right? Like, that's obviously going to play a point, right? And Isabelle May is going to, you know, she's the sister, right? Or the daughter, right? So she's going to have major significance, in my opinion. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But, you know, they got to get this right, is my point. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my points? Disagree with my points? Kind of mixed in the middle? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.